another edition of the Roll Jays podcast brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors. Jimmie and Alex Drake, joined by Stephen Ashworth today. Stephen, it's been a while since we've been able to catch up with you. We're glad we're able to do this again. First and foremost, how are you feeling after the ankle / illness / travel / rigmarole of this season so far?
Yeah, it's been a season full of adversity, no doubt, but a lot of good things have come from it. A lot of learning opportunities for this young group, and I think some connectedness coming together just on all fronts, recognizing that there's gonna be guys that aren't 100%, but the ankle's doing really good, and feeling good myself. So happy to be here today.
Steven, obviously a tough one the other night against Georgetown. What kind of things did they throw at you guys that you just didn't expect, besides the way they put the ball in the hoop?
Yeah, they they shot it really well early on, which did a few things to our defense, and they were a connected group. They were missing one of their best guards that was out with some knee soreness, I believe, and so it put some guys in different positions and made them play in a little different way. But they're really aggressive defensively, and for us, there's just some things that even outside of just execution, just from a mentality and a mindset that I felt like was lacking from our group the other night. And we've had a good few days of prep, and we have a really talented team coming in. And you know how it is in the Big East. There's no time to rest, no time to worry about your failures, no time to celebrate your successes. It's another team coming in, getting ready to take you on, and so learning from as much as we can, but then looking forward as well.
Obviously, we haven't talked to you since Pop's injury either, and he's had surgery. We hope he's doing well. How much did the dynamic in the locker room change when you guys get that news and find out he's not going to be available for the rest of the season?
Yeah, it's definitely heartbreaking, not only for our team from a performance standpoint, but also just you never like to see one of your guys have to deal with an injury that he's had to deal with, and he was working through it, pushing through it for a major part of the season, trying to rehab and come back, from the surgery he had last summer as well, and so there's a lot that went into it, and I think throughout the first little bit of the season, um, people couldn't really tell what he was fighting through for the team, but it came down to it to where he needed to get the surgery, and so guys have to step up. Guys have different roles. Guys have different opportunities, and I'm looking forward to seeing what this team becomes. Because in a way, you think about it to where in the summer you have all this time figuring out the offense, figuring out pieces, and how people are going to play together, and then you lose a guy like Pop, and you got to redo it all over again in a way. Your offensive schemes might have to change, your defensive game plans, your personnel, and so now all of us are reset in a way, trying to find out, okay, how can we all play together again, and who else can be, that guy that Pop was for us.
It may be really difficult for you to kind of judge, but I think everybody looks at themselves as the main character of their story, right? But in your opinion, who do you think his role has changed the most since Pop's exit?
I think I would probably say Jemiah's role has
Wow.
has
Okay.
changed significantly with the fact that I think that puts the ball in Jemiah's hands more. He's going to be more of a decision maker for us, and we got to implement some things as well to where Pop was both great on and off the ball, and so is Jemiah. And so, in what ways can we make sure that Jemiah is feeling confident within the system, within the offense, and within the new role that he's going to have, being kind of the second primary ball handler for the team for the rest of the season.
Steven, let's back up a little bit beyond Georgetown and go all the way back to UNLV when the news breaks that Pop is done for the year. Um, Fans and us included, Jimmie and I, didn't really know what to expect watching that game, especially with recent troubles against the Mountain West for Creighton. But a couple of guys came out and just they didn't look like the same players they had been earlier in the year, specifically Jason and Isaac. You obviously have Villanova at home again, which should help them. But you being a senior who's ridden through some of these struggles in the past at other places, how do you help a guy like Isaac capitalize off the success he had at UNLV and carry it through the rest of the season?
Yeah, it's interesting. It comes from a lot of experience, and everybody that we've played with has put in a lot of time. And I think part of it is being one of the guys that um, my role specifically didn't change much with
Right.
Pop going out. I still bring the ball up, most of the time. I'm involved in the offense quite a bit. And so in a lot of ways, it's my role has changed even more to, Pop had his own confidence, and obviously I would try to give him confidence whenever I could, coming in. But now it's in large part reminding these other guys like, hey, when your number's called, you've prepared for this, you've worked for this, and just trying to be a positive voice in the locker room and on the court and around those guys to make sure that they stay confident and take advantage of these moments because I can speak for myself. I felt like even my freshman year, I was capable of doing a lot of the same things I'm doing now, but it was just opportunity. There was guys ahead of me that were more talented that better fit those roles, and then when it was my chance to finally kind of assert what I could do, I felt like I just gained more and more confidence when I saw myself do it, as opposed to just believed in myself doing it. And so, for these guys to see themselves perform at this highest level and perform in big games, I think is crucial to their development. And my job, I think, is just to continually remind them of how talented they really are.
Well, you said you had yourself a hell of a night against Georgetown. You dropped 21 points and played pretty lights out. All that to be said, it's still a loss. How difficult is it for you to go out and have a performance like that where you are playing well? It does look good from a Stephen Ashworth side of things, but it's still a loss and the team struggles.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I hold myself to a standard to where I always want to be playing the highest level of basketball I can play individually, but I think that really I look at it to where was the team ready? Was the team prepared? Did the team execute? Especially from the point guard position. I feel like naturally the point guards of any team are thrown into a leadership role, into an execution role to where if you don't have your team ready per se,
Sure.
it's going to fall on your shoulders. And I think that although I was able to have some good plays and good moments in that Georgetown game, there are still times defensively where we weren't connected as we should be. I wasn't connected as I should have been, and there's things to learn from every moment. But at the same time, I think that when the whole team really rallies around that, to where it's not nearly as much about your individual performance as it is how connected we as a team on both sides of the ball. We're going to go a lot of places.
Alex clearly having some connectivity issues. Maybe he'll join us later in the show. I wanna ask about that because both Coach Mack and Jackson McAndrew talked about how this team wasn't ready enough on for the Georgetown game. When you take as that as personally as you tend to do, and I think most point guards around the country do, w- how does that weigh on you, and how does that change your approach to the next practice when you don't feel like this team was as ready as they possibly could?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I recognize that it doesn't start on game day. The
Right.
preparation, the mindset, it's in the days leading up to game day and the preparation. And so, follow the day following that, it was a day to get ready to learn from that game and then immediately prep for our next opponent in Villanova. And so I think that it was,
Is that tough for you to move on like that?
I mean, for me, it's really not
Okay.
because of the fact that a lot of times it's like basketball is my favorite sport because of the
A short
parity
memory
in it.
span? Yeah.
Yeah, and you have multiple games in a week, but you also have the fact that it's like March Madness is the greatest event on earth because of the fact that we have 15, 16, 14 seeds taking down some of the biggest names in the sport, and it's all because of the fact that if they can put the ball in the hoop more that night, if they can be the more
All that
aggressive
matters.
team, if they can make shots, if they can, force turnovers, they're going to have a better chance to win. And so, you know, you even look at the game last night with, the Warriors and the Grizzlies, it's not often that the Warriors lose by 51. Like,
Yeah, it's Steph's worst performance of his career.
yeah, so like for me it's not that hard win or lose to flip the page and get ready for the next one because you're only as good as your last performance and our last performance was not good. And so for me it was almost an eagerness to get back in the gym and reset our focus, reset, just everything about what went wrong out there in DC and try to fix it coming up on Saturday with the home crowd and the advantage that is. And so there's a lot that goes into everything, but really just a mindset from top down of we got to demand more from ourselves. We got to expect more from ourselves, and we got to be more accountable to not only ourselves but to each other as a team.
It's the Roll Jays podcast brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors. Just a reminder, you could donate to Creighton's NIL Collective, the Bird Club. Scan the QR code in your top right corner right now. All proceeds will go to the collective and help student athletes around Creighton's campus, as well as this podcast. I want to talk about the travel aspect of it, because obviously you guys are gone for quite a while. You head to Tuscaloosa, then you head to Washington, D.C. How difficult is it? No shade at Georgetown here, but to go from a place like Tuscaloosa where the crowd is what it is, and then go to Washington, D.C., where on TV it looked like the building was about half empty. Did any of that play? I mean, we're not here to make excuses, but did any of that play into what kind of happened from an energy standpoint against Georgetown?
I mean, it definitely could have played into it for sure. And I think that, when you go into an environment where the crowd is sold out and it's rowdy, it not only puts you on alert, but it also can put you on your heels a little bit. And I think that you saw that, the effect that had on us in Tuscaloosa.
Sure.
And so, it goes both ways, because then also when you're on the road and maybe the crowd isn't sold out and isn't as engaged until their team, starts performing in a way that they get engaged, which Georgetown did a really good job of. You really have to bring your own energy. You have to bring your own, kind of personal edge to those types of games. And, with Jackson and what Coach Maggard already said about us not being quite ready enough for that game, I think that went into it, of just the mindset of, oh, the crowd might not be a factor, so we can just go out and, play against the team. Whereas, like, sometimes you go into the road venue and you realize that you're not only playing against the team, but you're also managing the crowd, and making sure that you can try to keep them out of the momentum of the game as much as possible.
Where do you feel like in the Big East specifically is the toughest place to play?
There's some really good spots, some tough arenas to play, and honestly, just some tough cities with just the
Sure.
culture of the cities that we go to. That it's a hard-nosed city of New York. Providence is a really rowdy area, and then but like anywhere we go, there's going to be a fan base in the community that has supported their team for years and years, that is very passionate about their team, and so there's no gimmies on the road, and every single road environment can be difficult in the right situation.
You care to share the meanest thing anybody's ever said to you? No, you don't have to do that. I'm just kidding. Hey, when we talk about putting everything in the rear view and looking ahead, you mentioned how young this team is now without Pop, but you still have some senior leadership, obviously with you and Ryan. How much are you able to delegate? I need to do my day in, day out point guard duties, run the offense, be Stephen Ashworth the player, but also I got to kind of lift my wing up and take a couple of these guys with me and teach at the same time. Is that easy for you to kind of differentiate the two, or are they just so intertwined that you don't have to worry about that?
Yeah, I think it at times it can be difficult, but in the same breath, I do think it is intertwined to where just who my personality is, and how I love building relationships and creating lasting relationships, because not only do I think that benefits our team, but realistically, I think that's what life is all about personally,
Yeah.
is, the people you get to know, the people you get to meet. And I'm in business. I study business and leadership, and all of the world's greatest businessmen, they never say at the end of their life that they wish they would have made more money. They always say they wish they would have spent more time with their families or
Right.
friends. And so, life is about relationships. And so for me, taking those guys under my wing, trying to teach them about, what matters on and off the court, has been a thing that I think has come, naturally to me, and has kind of been a gift of mine, and hopefully it's making an impact on this team.
What was the message from the coaching staff at practice today?
I mean, a lot of it was let's learn from what we just experienced, but also at the same time, we've got a different team coming in. We've got a really talented team with some high level transfers, and then you got the number one scorer in the country right now, in Dixon, and so there's a different battle at hand on Saturday, but a battle that I think we're prepared for and looking forward to.
What is the key to success for this team on Saturday, in your opinion?
Yeah, it's a good question. Don't want to give away too many keys to the
Sure.
opponent, but at the same time, I think there is a lot to be said about just our physicality and toughness as a team.
Mm.
And also when it comes to a guy like Dixon, you know, a lot of times the highest scorer in the country is a very high usage guy that you know, shoots a lot of shots and maybe is inefficient at times. And that's not Eric Dixon. He is very efficient. He utilizes his post ups well. He's great in pick and roll and pick and pop. And so there's definitely a big task at hand to try to manage and mitigate what he does offensively and provides for their team. And so he's obviously one of the main focuses of the preparation going into Saturday. But you know, in general, a lot of the similar principles that you'd have for any game when it comes to taking care of the ball and rebounding and those types of things, the fundamentals, if you will.
When there's a Hunter Dickinson or an Eric Dickinson coming into town, and they're the guy that's going to get the attention from the other team, but aren't necessarily your duty to guard. How much of you wants to kind of get down there and scrap with that guy a little bit on certain possessions and kind of see if you got what it takes to kind of guard a player of that ilk in that position?
Yeah, I mean it's different because um, you know, I am a competitor at heart, and when their best player technically isn't my matchup and is in some ways, you know, definitely out of my position group, I
Six
definitely
eight,
want to
two
make sure I
sixty five. Yeah.
yeah, I definitely want to make sure I have an impact as much as I can, whether it's in the gaps or trying to be a pest, even making their catches tough. You know, by pressuring the ball a little bit more and making it so that the guard doesn't feel super comfortable. You know, getting him a post up touch or things like that. And so there's definitely a lot that goes into it when those guys maybe aren't my matchup, but at the same time, you know, I'm not backing down from the fight. That's for sure.
How fun is it to get ready to play against a guy like Dixon, who has had success here in Omaha in the past and seems to enjoy playing here when a lot of guys don't? How obviously a lot of prep goes into that, but how fun is it to try and get the better of them this time after they've had success in the past?
Yeah, it's you know, it's different because it is you know, both teams have new guys in different positions, but at the same time there is a core to both teams that are coming back. And so uh you know, it's what I love about the Big East, just the I feel like every game in the Big East is a rivalry in its own way just because you know, there's something to prove in every game and you know, people got chips on their shoulders and things like that and just the way that both teams play every given night. And so we're looking forward to it and excited for it for sure.
Obviously, a big holiday coming up. It's your first Christmas as a dad, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah. What are you looking forward to the most about the Christmas season?
yeah, it's been special. I was actually thinking about it just the other day of, you know, as cliche as it sounds, you know, you feel a different sense of pride as a father being able to in a way give your son or your daughter, your child a Christmas
Yeah.
to celebrate. And I just reflected on how grateful I am to be able to do something like that, especially while I'm still in college and you know getting a degree. There's just so much to be thankful for this Christmas season, and then you know looking forward to just the fact that you know it's a time to celebrate you know the birth of our Savior Jesus Christ and you know the one who makes everything in life go and worth it. And then at the same time, it's also cool because this Christmas season in Omaha, being the second one in Omaha, I felt like I've been more connected in the community with you know charity outreach and different things like that. And it actually just opening night tonight at Westroads Mall is the giving machines, which are some vending machines out there that you can go and make a purchase, and then that donation goes directly to either six charities here locally or two charities globally, whether it's school shoes or eye exams, or I saw you could buy a car seat, just different charity opportunities that you normally don't get. And it's kind of a cool way to do it to where
Yeah,
you can
that's
have your
awesome.
kids or friends or family go select C7, and next thing you know, it's a chicken being shipped to you know third world country for a family to provide meals and things like that. So it's a really cool thing. If you guys have time, if any of the listeners have time, go check it out at Westroads Mall, December 21st through the 31st.
That's incredible, man. That's awesome. And Ryan just had his big toy drive at Oscars the other day too. Were you able to
Yeah,
be a part of that at all? And how'd that go?
yeah, I wasn't able to go that night.
Oh, what a bad
My
teammate.
wife had some things, but yeah, bad teammate. But I definitely made sure to make sure I could share it on my story as much as possible. Try to spread the word. And actually, December 28th, that Saturday, me and some of the guys are going to go out to the giving machines that evening from like 5 to 6:30 p.m. And take pictures and sign autographs if anybody's planning on going out there. And so
Very cool. We'll make
looking
sure
forward to that as well. I'm going to post it to social a little bit later.
Yeah, do me a favor. Send me a reminder that day too. We'll make sure we get that on air on radio too.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
All right, hey man. We'll
Steven,
go ahead, Alex.
I was just gonna say, obviously, there's a little bit of a break coming up. Does this break mean a little bit more to you now that you're a father than it has in the past?
Yeah, I would say that it's nice to just be able to, in a way, reset. We're gonna be about exactly halfway through the season as this kind of 10-day break approaches, and obviously there's gonna be a lot of practices in between that, but also a few days off to where we can kind of reset and reflect and just be grateful for what we have as student athletes. And so it definitely means more as a father with just the perspective that has been added into my life, but at the same time looking forward to the usual things that a break does of spending time with family and trying to get the body as healthy as possible.
Well, we'll give you a break from this as well. We'll catch up with you after the holiday as well. We hope you, Peyton and Tommy, have a great Christmas, man. Thanks for doing this with us. And like I said, let me know when you guys get out to the vending machines. We'll definitely promote it for you too.
Appreciate that. Thanks for your time to you guys. Great to chat with you.
That's Creighton point guard Stephen Ashworth. This has been the Roll Jays podcast brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors. So we just said we'll be back after the new year as well. Enjoy the holiday, enjoy the time off, and enjoy the basketball. We'll see you next time.